Come on down to It's Earth for the craziest Earth deals in the galaxy.
So, welcome.
I'm Slut Tracy, just a squirrel looking for a nut.
Oh, wow, that is, I wasn't prepared for that.
This team lead.
Oh, okay, is that your baseball team by chance?
I got this at a very classy charity event, and I was just like, they
Okay.
know me.
Yeah, they clearly they do. They had you scouted. Yeah. GW Tracy, welcome.
Sinestro Corps, really.
Yeah, I mean, I have Sinestro Corps, I have Red Lanterns, and I have Lawfleys. So I'm representing my tribes.
I always thought I'd be a Red Lantern because I have all of that rage.
All that rage, all right. You know, representing your people as well.
Yeah. I'm more of a Sapodilatan. I don't identify as red.
Okay, sorry, my apologies. I wasn't too sure. Thank you for
So I'm Slut Tracy.
clarifying. All right, GWG Tracy.
And we are Tracy, and we're here to discuss VOLTRON. So I don't know. I got super excited when I saw that first trailer for this new season. It just was so much and so emotional. I just had to rewatch the entire series to just see if everything that they're dropping has been really canon or tokenistic.
Mm-hmm.
What did you think about this season?
So this, for me, is probably the first or the second season that feels like a full season. It's a thing that Voltron does where you get mini seasons that are just little story arcs, but everything it feels very fluid and connected. Only last season had a good terminal point to let you know that we're moving into a new stage of the story. Season 7 was strong, very strong. And while season 7 didn't have as many Robies battles, Voltron battles as the other earlier seasons had, when it did happen, it counted and it was strong. And we also got to see a lot more character development as well in this
I
season.
think this is all about the Voltrons becoming, the Paladins becoming fully realized Paladins and comfortable with their lions. Like only two of them have ever really been comfortable in their lions, and that was Pidge and Hunk. And so watching the other three really bond with their lions was beautiful to watch. Like Keith has come a long way from season 1 to finally being their real leader, and it was lovely.
You know, for a while, I thought that this was going to be one of the major deviations from even previous Voltron series. I'm talking about not just, you know, the original Voltron, but all the attempted remakes that they've done. I thought this was going to be the one huge deviation from it. But to see how they did that full character arc with Keith, and I know there are people out there who are not Keith fans. That's your problem. Keith is great, and his character development throughout the entire series, the ups and downs, have been very fulfilling, and you see it here most in season 7.
Yeah, and it was nice to see because season 6 left me wondering what's going to be next for Shiro. We saw a very broken man at the end of season 6, both physically and emotionally and spiritually.
We're glad you're back, Shiro.
And I was just wondering, where were they going to find a place for him in the team that was meaningful? And they did it in a huge way. And they gave him such context as to why he was always so conflicted, because, you know, he left the man that he loved on Earth and put his own personal life aside for the good of the universe. It broke me when because this entire time I've been waiting to see him in a relationship with Adam. And the producers were so smart to kill him. They were so smart to have that moment when he looked, and it's the first time I've ever seen Shiro give real emotion. Like, we've seen him love Keith, we've seen him love the Voltron team as a dad. We never saw him as a man. And so I watched that episode yesterday, and I felt like I was gonna cry too. And he just looked at the thing, and he was like, "I'm sorry."
I think it's Shiro has had a lot of development, but again, as you said, it's only been a very paternalistic sort of relationship that they've been developing, and it's not a far deviation from what we've seen so far. How Shiro puts duty beyond everything else in his life, and while again we've had many blog pieces written about it, although we know that there's a whole bit of conflict in fandom about how Shiro and Adam developed, the way forward is something that's really going to matter. And I think that this is our last season. I don't think that the writing team is going to drop the ball now. There's something really major and defining about his character that we're going to get to see, and we're going to get to see him as, again, a man of duty, a leader, and someone who is ever self-sacrificing.
And the thing with the writers, which I have to give them hats off to, because I've just been wondering about the way that they have done inclusion. I think it's one of the best franchises for inclusion. The way that they made Pidge a non-binary character was beautiful and meaningful. The fact that they had an actress who was non-binary playing Pidge was telling. The fact that the royal bloodline of Altea are Black people, like that is the sign of royalty, is that they're Black. All the other Alteans are white, and they have a Black actress playing that. And now I'm excited to see what they're gonna do for Shiro. I was also just excited to see fucking Black people in an anime, doing Black people things, and like being really fucking cool. Like that next generation of pilots, I'm more excited about them.
I would easily watch a spin-off. I would easily watch a spin-off that's just about them. There's so much, even in their designs, there's so much just full character in them, and you can tell that the writers and the animation team and the plot developers, they sat down, and the storyboarders, they sat and decided, who do we want these people to be? Even if it was for a moment, we want characters that stand out and really grip the audience and tell you.
I love that autistic girl. Like, she's my favorite. Like, that next generation of Voltron, and from what I've read, they want to wrap up next season with Voltron, but have spin-offs that show us the Gulra, the Blade of Gamora. They want to do what will happen to the Earth pilots. There's something huge in store for that robot, that ship, the Atlas, I'm sure.
These birds are ready to fly.
We need you airborne. We're shutting down the particle barrier, so we'll be exposed. That means you'll be our last line of defense.
You can count on us.
No shield?
It is our largest source of energy. Losing it will put the garrison at a substantial calculated risk.
Let's talk about the absence of Hagar and why that fucking scares me.
So, you go right ahead.
She has clearly found the Altean homeworld and is using them as batteries for her robots. And she's a desperate woman. She's lost her son. She's lost her husband. She's lost her, I want to say humanity, because that's how we would relate it, but anything good in her is gone. We saw Hagar revert back to Altean at the end of season 6, which is very telling. So she has her memories back as Hagar, and she has her memories back as Honora. And it seems as though she's chosen to be evil. So where do you think they're going to go with that?
I have no idea, but I think the only path forward is Witch Hagar as the big bad for the series. And she has been from season 1 integral to how everything unfolds.
That bitch always has a plan, man.
Always has a plan. And it's also interesting, they may play the parallel between what Lothar was doing with his colony of Alteans, because he was doing his half magic, half science along those lines to, understanding that there's power to be gleaned from Altean bodies. And we see that at the very end of season 7, that they're being used as batteries. Hagar has access to that science as well. And pulling out the essence from bodies. I think that we're going to see something. I mean, we've already seen something that is as close to Holocaust as possible, but we're going to see something with even grander scale when it comes to Hagar.
The event is coming.
Yeah.
And it's interesting also to see we lost the rest of the generals.
Yeah.
One is left, and I think they're gearing up towards Keith and her falling in love story, which is interesting because in the original story, the Altean that is with them that they rescued ended up becoming Shiro's wife.
Yes.
So where is she gonna fit in all of this now that he's gay?
I don't know.
And Keith has no fucking interest in her. Keith is all about that girl run girl.
Yeah, well, I mean, he wants to reconnect with, with his identity as a half Goron himself.
Hunk has the girl from the planet that manages the Balmora.
I don't know if that's that's a possible ship, but I don't know if that's solid. I still think that I mean that's just me. I still think Hunk Pidge is a possible ship, but again, we have a whole season to figure that out.
Yeah, you think so? I think they're gonna give Pidge something new and something interesting. Because
I don't know.
I never got anything more than brother sister from Hunk and Pidge. I've seen Hunk like turn into Glee when that girl from the Balmora is found. And can we talk about his family and how fucking cool they are?
Yes, we can.
Like his mom is just straight up like that's auntie.
Yeah. It was nice because a lot of the characters have been somewhat racially ambiguous. Hunk as a Pacific Islander is a nice touch.
Yeah.
And you simply don't see that you don't see representation for Pacific Islanders many places at all.
No.
You don't see it, and there's a sense of care that was done in how each of his family members were represented. Lance got a bit of that too.
Yeah, Lance's sister's a badass.
She's great. She is great. I would have never predicted that was where they were going to go with that little arc, but she's amazing. Such a contrast to Lance as well.
Yeah, especially since they pegged him as the dumb one in that they always have a mindfuck episode where I think the writers just take some shrooms and they're like, what fuck are we going to do today?
Mm-hmm.
We got throwing discs with cases. 20 cap or 6 for 100. We've got a luxury seat that doubles as a water fountain. That's 2 in 1 for one low price. 1,500 gap. Iggy's aliens would say I'm snarl off to the cranker. Then they're right.
And to see him have like not just a smart sister, but an emotionally intuitive and completely fearless sister. Like, no wonder he tries so hard if that's his older sister. And he has the only thing he's good at is flying. It explains so much about his story. And then watching him with his nephews also showed such a great human side to him and you can see why he's the second in command now, because he's the heart of the team.
I saw people arguing that Lance didn't get sufficient characterization this season, and I'm confused. Like, were you watching the same the same show? Because that again, Lance is defined by 2 things, 3 things: his shortcomings and the ability to overcome them, his relationships, and him moving into a new space of maturity. And we get all three parts of that in very condensed versions, but he has meaningful screen time that's not overshadowed by anyone. And it was really good to see him.
I don't know how they can say that, especially when they did the recog mission to the base, and he led that party. He was in charge, and you saw Keith defer to him because he's like, "I'm good at one thing. I'm getting pitch in, and I'm getting pitch out. Make sure we don't die." And you saw Lance calling plays. You saw Lance calling cues. You saw him very intuitive. You saw him really work that Bayard. That Bayard has become such an extension of him.
Yeah.
He was never capable of that before because he was always so insecure. And you could see where his insecurities came from because of his rock star sister. He's a big family. He's always had to be extra to get attention that people get naturally. So it was nice to see him in his own right. And you saw the princess respond to him as well.
Yeah.
Because she's starting to be like, that's
I can see something that's admirable.
I loved how they resolved Hunk as like his strength and the reason why he has that yellow lion, which I think is the strongest out of the four, the black lion being its only thing in raw power.
Yeah.
That episode of that thing almost ate them. And he just held them together. And he's the only paladin that is really connected to his lion, huh?
Yeah, and they've been very clear about it, almost explicit. Hunk is the glue, all right? He literally holds the entire team, the entire Voltron force, the entire alliance together because he is dedicated to overcoming fear, which I don't really appreciate. But he's dedicated to overcoming his fear. That's how do you write that?
It also was interesting to see the Admiral, like her. We only had her for a little time, but I liked her. I liked her, and I hated her at the same time.
But you can understand that her betrayal didn't necessarily come from a place of mustache twirling evil.
No, she's just stupid.
I will give you that. But when you have to make hard calls and you've been in a very militarized situation where you've moved from war to extended peace to an outside threat, you move to a place of hypersensitivity about making decisions. And while I think she made all of the wrong ones, she made all the wrong ones for the right reasons.
I think it was a lot of her feeling undermined by Holt. And the problem I think that they had, which I think is again a credit to the writing, was that's a real power dichotomy where we're rooting for Holt, but everything he did was wrong in terms of command.
Yeah.
He should have sat that woman in a room up front and really explained to her why there's no negotiation with the Gulra. And he never did that. All he did
But how do you do that?
Huh?
But how exactly do you do that? I mean, we're looking at a race, because the thing is, we're seeing a lot of these series from his eyes, all right? As viewers. I mean, we get a sniff of Voltron Force as well, but we see a lot of these series from his eyes. And he returns to Earth, a pre-contact civilization, and he's explaining to them, they're aliens, they live for tens of thousands of years, the empire spans a major sector of the known universe, this is an unfathomable threat. We may even lose. You can't even begin to have that conversation with someone who is completely out of their depth.
True. That the season kept me. It was one thing to watch Voltron in space. When it came home, those episodes kept me at the edge of my seat.
Yeah.
For the whole thing, like I couldn't put it down because I was just like, "Wait, they're home. We are fucked." This is strange.
Yeah.
Hey!
Hey, Hunk.
We're
going to miss you so much now that you're going to be a space explorer.
Well, I don't know about space explorer. I was thinking more of a mechanic for space explorers.
Can you build us a spaceship?
Well, I don't need to because we're already in one. So, my family?
We'll get them back soon.
I love that new arm of his. I loved watching him fight back to back with gosh, help me with his name. The general who came to Earth.
Oh gosh, I do not recall his name offhand.
Yeah, that fight scene was epic when he was
Nice contrast too, obviously.
Yeah, he's like, "Oh, you think you have an arm? Let me show you how." And the fact that it's powered by the princess's crown, I think giving up her crown was a big moment for Laura.
Yeah.
That's the one thing she held on to.
Yeah, and it's a big, symbolically, it reinforces her move from royalty. She's always going to be royal, of course, but and they've done it several times in the series, but reminding that she is a soldier in this fight, and she's willing to give up everything
for the fight. And she's also the last Altean druid, because they haven't even delved into what she learned from Lothar, because he loved her. That's the only thing.
I genuinely, and it hurts me. All right, don't make me do that. It hurt me because it's not because I necessarily love the pairing. It's not about the pairing. It's really about Lothar. Lothar is such a complicated character in this series.
I don't think he's dead.
Absolutely mercenary. I don't think he's dead either.
I strangely think that he is going to be their last, like after they kill Unova, I think he is going to come out of that quintessence field and be like, rah.
It's possible.
I have been in here for 5 years. Time to fucking ramp.
Every other death in the series has been very definitive. Every other major death has been very definitive. Lothar may not be dead.
And he's soaking up all of that quintessence, and he's in there longer than his father.
He's going mad.
Yeah, and Zarkon came out of that. Like, no one else but Lothar could have killed Zarkon, and that was because Lothar was basically feasting on 10,000 years of Altean quintessence. So what that monster is going to come out with, and I want to see a reckoning between Honora and her son.
They've not left a lot of storyline threads untied. Yeah. And this is a big unresolved thread. And I'm hoping, if we don't, it doesn't make the series any less great, but I'm hoping we do get that story arc closed and completed.
I think it's all been great. I want to see what, as an alchemist, she's not just a fully realized paladin. She's a fully realized alchemist. What is Alora going to be like? And where is she going to fit in? Are they going to take the Atlas and make it the new Castle of Lions and go back to the fight? Or is Earth going to be where the fight is going to?
I would think it would be more of the former, because they've been pressing on the importance of rebuilding the Castle of Lions. Although they could easily go to the idea that the lions are being recharged by the essence of the universe and pulling quintessence from everywhere, or the palace themselves sacrificing their own. Yeah.
That's the last thing that Shiro said, is that a fully realized paladin charges their lion.
That's possibly where they're going, because it seems, the storyline seems ripe for it.
Major predictions. I think we are going to get to see Lance and Alora be a thing. I think the Atlas, Voltron, and the new vehicles, I would love to see them time jump a couple of years. Build Earth's defenses now that they have I think they're going to have a little break. So they can protect Earth as one of those massive shields. Based on all the Galra tech that has been left there. Because what we saw is that the engineers of Earth plus the space engineers that worked with Pidge, they could make some really quick work with that stuff to protect Earth, so that they don't have to worry about Earth. I want to see Honora and those. I think that Altean girl who ran away from her planet is going to have a reckoning moment where she's like, we need to go and fucking save the Alteans.
Yeah, there's something major with her. She's not just hanging around
Just
for no reason. So my predictions, vehicle Voltron. I know we're gonna see it. I know we're gonna see again. I'm talking about different colors.
The people that don't know what that is, explain what vehicle Voltron is.
All right. So when the series was adapted, when Voltron was adapted, Go Lion was adapted, it was brought across, and several seasons were meshed together to make what we know as Voltron. A lot of people actually, unless you got the DVDs or you grew up watching it at that time, you may not be familiar with Vehicle Voltron at all. But several series were combined, several animes were combined to make several combined robot series. So Vehicle Voltron is Earth-based, made out of several rescue vehicles to turn into a super robot. Is that a super robot? No, that's a mech. There's a different mech. Yeah, that's a mech. Yes. So yes, that's where I think they will pay some, because there's a lot of homage to previous series. So I think we're gonna see some of that. I don't want to see Stealth Voltron, I'll tell you that much. But but I think we may see some of that. That's just my desire. In addition, as I mentioned previously, I don't think, even if he doesn't return alive, so to speak, even if they do it in referencing to flashbacks, I don't think Lothor's story is truly done.
No.
There is something very complicated about how, I mean, maybe it's not necessarily wise to mince the wrong that Lothor did with regards to how he completely sacrificed Altean lives. But I do, like the best villains believe that they're in the right. And I do genuinely believe that Lothor saw something greater as a threat.
He thinks that what he's doing is right. And that righteousness is what gives him his power. And the way that he's able to hold his generals to him, it really took a lot for them to betray him. And because they knew all along about the Altean homeworld. Something is there that we're not seeing. And they have to give us that Honora. I don't know if Allura is going to be the one to kill Honora, or if it's going to be Lothor in his final act.
I think I could see other villains that I may draw closer parallel to. I can see a Max Lord. I can see, to some degrees, maybe Magneto, Exodus. I can see.
The Ra's al Ghul.
Yeah, I can see, but either way, he has deep, meaningful convictions about what he was doing. I never perceived he said it into madness at the end, because it's I can go on.
He's a sociopath. He's my favorite. So I loved Lothor. I loved I loved watching him handle Allura. Yeah. Because it all came from a place of love. He loved that woman.
He really did.
And that I thought was scary and beautiful at the same time. Because it wasn't a creepy kind of love. It was, he admired her. He loved how smart he was. They made some massive amounts of technological advancements in a short time together. And I think he found his rival, and it was the betrayal of Allura that got them to win. That's crazy.
But I also wonder, and again, not necessarily drawing any parallels, but there's a story about rejection that he has always been facing from his father, from his mother, and not necessarily rejection, but her death, so to speak, and him always wanting to reconnect with what he believes to be the good in him, right? And that is not Goran, but Altean,
And so an Altean alchemist, because that's the only way he's able to do the morphing. That's how he could morph. He had no control of it until the alchemy was activated.
And there's a general audience's show, but I don't think it's necessarily that he fetishized the princess. But there's streams, there's love, there's deep love and admiration. But again, the darkness that was in Lothar is inescapable.
Oh yeah. And the thing is, he was righteous, and he didn't think that it was darkness. He was just like, because he really just allowed the Alteans to breed. Huh?
Mm-hmm.
Like, we do the same thing to cows. Let's be real.
Yes. Yeah.
They were an endangered species. They couldn't fend for themselves, and he needed food. So it's one of those. And I mean, it's sad that we are the Tracys that are discussing this, because between of us, we're basically anti-heroes. Which is why we're here like, oh, Lothar.
They're wrong people.
Yeah. I also want to see what else is there for it, because they've only just become fully realized paladins. So what else did Alpha have in those lions that we don't know?
But I don't think you can cram that, because you could genuinely do probably 3 more seasons without extending the premise beyond its welcome. There's a lot more room to tell a story with this specific Voltron, but we get one more. So I don't know what else we can get.
No, but Netflix and their money. They brought back Sense8 because fans was just like, the fuck.
Yeah, I would love to know what the metrics are. I mean, because we don't know anything. Netflix is a complete wall. But I would love to know what the metrics are on Voltron. How many people are viewing it? Because one of my major complaints, especially about Voltron, we have no announcements, no marketing push behind when the season is going to drop. All you realize is that your friends are talking about Voltron, or you send it to Netflix, and then we see new episodes. And I feel like this is a show that has a large catchment of fans, or can have an even larger catchment of fans if we just got maybe 1 week of dedicated marketing behind it.
Yeah.
But
what I love too is the fact that every critic, and myself included, has said they could have ended Voltron this season.
Yes, they could have, and it would have been fine.
It would have been okay. So the fact that they wrote it thinking it, I think they wrote season 7 thinking it may have been their last, and the studio was just like,
they could have ended at season 7 as well. It would not have been a bad thing to end it there.
Yeah, and the studio is like, wait, what do you mean? Wait, no. I don't know. I'm happy with where it's going, and I have to admit, I was never a fan of the 1984 cartoon.
It's not great.
It's not.
I'll be the first to admit I've watched every episode, but I will never tell you that it's great. It was probably amazing. It was definitely groundbreaking at the time, not just in Japanese audiences. The reason why it was adapted is because it was so big.
I just watched it as filler until the cartoons I liked came on. But this, I don't know. It's a masterpiece of storytelling. That's all I can say. And again, going back to just make sure, especially being a part of the LGBT community, that the things that, and a Black person, that the things that they were doing were story and not to sell.
Mm-hmm.
And seeing the care that they take with that, I'm super excited for how they resolve this.
Yeah. But we've seen what the showrunners have done before. All right, so we know that, and again, I think this being on Netflix gave them an even bigger playground to show you where their convictions lie. And I think it's a bit of a shame that they got the amount of blowback they got from the fandom, but fandoms can be toxic anyhow you take it. So that's just what you have to deal with when you make anything that people can love.
But the blowback has ended.
It's done. Yeah.
Nobody's on this season like, oh, why is Shiro gay? Everybody's kind of like, so season 7 done. What we do? Yeah, we got it in 6 months. Like,
they could drop it. Because season 6 ended just earlier this year. All right, we had no idea when we were supposed to expect season 7, because we got the preview trailer. You saw it.
I went and lost my shit.
You saw it more or less live, and
I have this song.
you have any idea that you were to expect it within a month?
No.
Yeah,
So I
we
think I'm looking forward to Vehicle Voltron though. Like, and you've been very spot on with your predictions. I have to say.
a little bit. But it's just the hope. I would love to see it. And again, as you mentioned, spin-offs. I'm really invested in seeing the story that this team can tell.
Oh yeah, I think
especially with our new templates, it could be great
because they have no tropes to satisfy and no fanboys to satisfy, and they've just built a beautiful team. I love and they're the exact opposite of the Voltron Paladins.
Yeah.
That team, they're hardworking, they're loyal, they're smart. They are like when they showed up with fucking Lance and Hunk, and they're like, if you die, we're screwed. So fuck commands, we come in with you, bitch.
Yeah.
I was like, that shows a lot of independent thought. Like those guy and that girl who can add up probabilities in her head. I'm obsessed with her. Like the freckled girl who shows no emotion, and she's just like, yeah, they're either sending in more cruisers. Sending more cruisers.
It would be nice to see, as I said, they don't have to satisfy tropes. It would be nice to see a series that, I mean, it's not to say it's never happened, but that takes a team that has been built from the ground up that doesn't feel cobbled together. These are guys who are trained, who are dedicated, who are there to get shit done. And even if you can tell a story over 3 seasons about that, that can be really good.
All right, guys, it's been real. Slut Tracy.
GWG Tracy.
Peace.
Ta-ta.